Hi there, this is Michael from Ever Better Mind, where I talk about positive, practical, and research-backed strategies to help improve your mental health to be your best self. So today I want to talk about how to have a difficult conversation, especially with a male. The difference between men is that when we're faced with a potential stressful situation, we also have testosterone in the mix, which can lead to aggressive or confrontational or overly defensive behavior when faced with a perceived threat. That classic fight or flight, it can often be fight. So the situation might be you need to have a sensitive conversation because you're sensing something's not right, or not going so well. Maybe it's provide feedback that you're thinking they might not like, or otherwise having a bit of a disagreement. So it can be tricky, no matter who you are. It can absolutely be tricky, all of these things, but particularly for men, you're more likely to come up with a defensive wall that makes it really hard to communicate. Really, really. I have a son, and I've seen this play out. We kind of have a classic confrontational one-on-one. It can often blow up, unintentionally, when we're having a tough conversation. So how do you kind of deal with it? So to kind of get around this kind of defensive testosterone-based kind of reaction, the best thing you can do is not face to face, right? Not to do it face to face. So a classic boardroom situation where you've got one person sitting and another person there, or just literally fronting up and talking to someone more directly is more likely to lead to a position of a threat, a confrontation, and therefore that kind of defensive and aggressive posture. So the way to deal with a tricky conversation is, especially with a man or a boy, whether it's your brother or your son or friend or a colleague or your partner, whoever it is, best way to do it is to take the heat out of it by not standing one-to-one facing each other, but to be side by side, and ideally be doing something in the process. So with my son, I find the best thing to do is to go for a walk, literally walk. So you're standing side by side. It takes that perception of a confrontation out. You happen to be a little bit distracted by the physical movement, and it's way more easier to have a tricky conversation. So if you, again, sense they're having a hard time at school, we need to provide feedback or maybe bring up something a bit sensitive, best thing to do is to take that sense of confrontation out and go for a walk. Another thing I've heard anecdotally people do is when they're driving in the car, you're both sitting there in the car, they could be in the back, in the front with you, but you're all kind of facing the same direction. Again, there isn't that sense of confrontation, and you're a bit distracted by the driving and what's kind of going on around you, and it's probably going to be a little bit easier. I know from personal experience with a mate, I wanted to check in with him about a really potentially sensitive topic, and I didn't know how to do it. He's a really good mate of mine. I've known him for a very long time, and I found it really hard, but the only time I felt comfortable doing it was when we're going for a ride. We were riding up a mountain together on mountain bikes, to kind of ride up together pretty close. And it was the same idea. We were doing something physical, a bit distracted, both facing the same way. And I found it easy enough to bring this up and for him to respond in a way that I probably wouldn't if we were just having a coffee or whatever. I would have found that really hard. So, hopefully that's something that helps next time you have to have a tricky conversation with a male in your life. Consider this as another strategy in the toolkit to maybe have that sensitive conversation or that potentially difficult conversation and take the heat out of it, get past the wall of automatic defensive-ness, and kind of communicate. Because of course, that's really what we're there to do, and hopefully help them in some way. So hope that helps. Have a great day.